Have you ever been lying in bed, completely relaxed, when suddenly your brain drags you back to something embarrassing that happened 10 years ago? Maybe you called a teacher mom in front of the entire class. Maybe you waved back at someone who wasn't actually waving at you. Maybe you said something awkward during a meeting, a date, or a conversation that everyone else forgot within minutes. Yet somehow, your brain still remembers it. Not just remembers it, replays it, over and over again. Why does that happen? Why can you forget where you left your keys yesterday, but vividly remember an embarrassing moment from 15 years ago? And why does it still make your stomach tighten as if it happened this morning? Most people assume embarrassing memories stick around because they're important, but that's not actually the reason. The truth is far stranger. Your brain often treats embarrassment as a threat, and threats are exactly the kinds of experiences the brain was designed to remember. To understand why embarrassing memories refuse to disappear, we need to go back thousands of years. Humans evolved as social creatures. For most of human history, survival depended on belonging to a group. Being accepted meant protection, food, cooperation, and eventually reproduction. Being rejected could be devastating. In some situations, exclusion from a tribe could literally mean death. As a result, the human brain became highly sensitive to anything that might damage social standing. This ancient survival system still exists today. The problem is that modern embarrassment triggers the same alarm systems that once helped our ancestors survive. Your brain doesn't always distinguish between a genuine social threat and a harmless mistake. To your nervous system, both can feel surprisingly similar. Imagine accidentally tripping while walking into a crowded room. Logically, you know it's not a major event. Emotionally, however, your brain reacts differently. Heart rate increases, stress hormones rise, attention narrows. The moment becomes emotionally charged, and emotionally charged experiences are far more likely to be stored in long-term memory. This is where psychology becomes fascinating. Memory is not a video recording. Your brain doesn't store every moment equally. Instead, it prioritizes experiences associated with strong emotions. The stronger the emotional response, the stronger the memory tends to become. Fear, joy, anger, shame, embarrassment. All of these emotions act like highlighters. They tell the brain, "Pay attention, this matters." Unfortunately, the brain doesn't always care whether something matters objectively. It cares whether it feels important. That's why a minor social mistake can become unforgettable. There's another layer to this. Embarrassing memories don't stay alive because of the original event alone. They survive because of what happens afterward. Every time you replay the memory, you're strengthening it. Neuroscientists call this reconsolidation. Whenever a memory is recalled, it becomes temporarily flexible before being stored again. Think of it like opening a document, editing it, and saving it once more. The more often you revisit an embarrassing moment, the more opportunities your brain has to reinforce it. Ironically, trying not to think about the memory often makes it stronger. Many people have experienced this effect. Try not to think about a pink elephant. Immediately, the image appears. The same thing happens with embarrassing memories. The harder you push them away, the more attention you give them. And attention is fuel for memory. What happens next surprises most people. The thing that keeps many embarrassing memories alive isn't the event itself, it's imagination. When people replay an embarrassing moment, they rarely replay reality. Instead, they replay a distorted version. They imagine everyone noticing, everyone judging, everyone remembering. Yet psychological research repeatedly shows something called the spotlight effect. Humans dramatically overestimate how much other people notice their mistakes. Most people are too busy worrying about themselves to spend much time thinking about your embarrassing moment. Consider a workplace presentation. You accidentally stumble over a sentence. You spend the rest of the day convinced everyone noticed. Meanwhile, most people are thinking about deadlines, bills, family problems, or their own performance. The event that feels enormous to you may barely register for anyone else, yet your brain doesn't know that, because from your perspective, the experience feels massive. This creates a strange illusion. You become both the actor and the audience inside your own mind, and audiences always notice more than participants. But here's where it gets dangerous. Embarrassing memories often become attached to identity. Instead of thinking, "I did something embarrassing," people start thinking, "I am embarrassing." That subtle shift changes everything. One describes a temporary event, the other describes a permanent self-image. When this happens, embarrassing memories stop being isolated incidents. They become evidence. Evidence that supports a negative story about who you are. This is closely connected to something psychologists call confirmation bias. Once people develop a belief about themselves, they unconsciously search for information that confirms it. Someone who secretly believes they're awkward remembers social mistakes. Someone who believes they're unlikable remembers rejection. Someone who believes they're incompetent remembers failures. The brain starts collecting proof for a story that may not even be true. This mechanism shows up constantly in relationships. A person says something awkward on a first date. Years later, they still remember it. Not because it mattered, but because it became linked to a deeper fear of rejection. Another person sends a text they regret. The relationship survives, life moves on. Yet the memory remains because it symbolizes vulnerability. The emotional meaning becomes larger than the event itself. Few people recognize that embarrassing memories are often hiding something deeper. The memory isn't always the problem. The fear attached to it is. The fear of looking foolish. The fear of losing approval. The fear of not belonging. The fear of being exposed. Once you identify the fear underneath the memory itself often loses power. Here's something even stranger. Many embarrassing memories become stronger with time, not weaker. That sounds impossible. But it happens because your brain keeps updating the story. Every replay adds interpretation. Every replay adds emotion. Every replay adds judgment. Years later, the memory may feel worse than it actually was. Not because the event changed, because the story changed. This is why two people can experience the same embarrassing event and remember it completely differently. One laughs about it years later. The other cringes every time it comes to mind. The difference isn't the event, it's the meaning attached to it. This is where psychology reveals something profoundly important. Embarrassment is not proof that something is wrong with you. In many cases, it's proof that you're socially aware. People feel embarrassment because they care about relationships, acceptance, and social harmony. In moderation, that's actually healthy. The goal isn't to eliminate embarrassment. The goal is to stop treating every embarrassing moment as a permanent verdict on your character. When an embarrassing memory appears, ask yourself a simple question. Would I judge another person this harshly for making the same mistake? Most people immediately realize the answer is no. They offer others compassion, yet deny it to themselves. And that's the final psychological trap. We often become the harshest audience we will ever face. Long after everyone else has forgotten, we continue performing the scene inside our own minds. The memory survives not because the world won't let it go, but because we won't. The next time an embarrassing moment from years ago suddenly appears in your mind, remember this. Your brain isn't reminding you because the event was important. It's reminding you because your brain once believed the event threatened your place in the social world. The memory is not evidence that you're flawed. It's evidence that you're human. And perhaps the most embarrassing thing of all is realizing that the people you think are judging you are probably too busy replaying their own embarrassing memories to remember yours.